to Recall the Midwife.
Hello and welcome to Recall the Midwife. We are three super fans of Call the Midwife who watch each episode and discuss in order. Today we are discussing Series 5, Episode 8. I'm Alex.
I'm Becky.
I'm Jen. And a reminder that this week's episode deals with death and dying, alcoholism, birth defects, and thalidomide scandal, and LGBTQIA+ issues. So if those topics are ones you would prefer to skip this time, we understand and hope you join us for the next one.
In this week's episode, Barbara is helping a young Saletti woman named Tripti Baluk. When Tripti goes into labour, Barbara asks Sister Evangelina to join her to lend a hand. Sister Evangelina maintains that she won't handle newborns since her stroke because she says it's a two-handed job, but she goes along and ends up bathing Tripti's baby girl while Barbara delivers the placenta. Afterwards, when they return to Nonnatus House, Sister Evangelina dozes off by the fire while Barbara makes her a cup of tea. She suffers another stroke and passes away in her sleep to be found by Fred the following morning. All of Poplar comes together to mourn her passing. Meanwhile, Mitchell Ansell has returned from Australia after the £10 pom scheme didn't work out. His mother Tessie is hastily making arrangements for a wedding as they wait for Mitchell's girlfriend to dock. Noelle has left Australia to join Mitchell after finding out that she's in the family way. Mitchell and Noelle eventually get married and their baby boy is delivered at the wedding reception. Dr. Turner and Sheila learn to their horror that the drug Distabel has been withdrawn after being linked with causing birth defects, leading them to try and track down the patient histories.
There we go. This episode will just ruin us all, but
This episode. Also, just to say, at the start of the podcast, we had a special guest announcer who is the latest addition to the podcast. She's joining us next week to talk about really gritty things. It's my daughter.
our youngest host.
Our youngest host, non-listener, 6-year-old. Yeah.
But she does watch Call the Midwife.
She came in today, actually.
She's seen some very choice scenes in the episodes. If you've been listening along with us, you know that she's popped in at very wild times.
Well, she asked again today. She was like, "Can we watch the bit where they burn the caravan?" I was like, "No, I'm watching this episode."
She probably did her bit in less takes than we did our bit.
She 100% did it. Look, she literally just did it. Done. Then, there and then.
Is it her usual voice, or is it the voice that she gets when she's like wanted to do something but then gets a bit shy about it?
Oh no, not shy at all. You'll hear.
Okay, that's so funny.
I thought you were going to suggest then that she's got a telephone voice. I was like, I've never heard a telephone voice.
Hello, Mummies. Oh God! Well, I hope we're enjoying this laughter now because it's the last time it's going to happen for the next hour that we talk about this whole episode.
Let's talk about something really nice first. Those massive prams and the big babies in them. Were they cute?
Oh yeah, at the beginning. And I will say, little Susan Mullix, all wrapped up in her blanket with her little bonnet on, is absolutely the most gorgeous little doll baby you have ever seen. She is so sweet, and even when she's unwrapped and you see her body and everything, like she is the most beautiful little girl. Such a little sweetie pie. And I know that the little actor that they have playing her is not disabled and they kind of do some CGI and things for that, but Susan Mullix is one of the most darling little sweetie pies. And I mean, there were a couple times where
an angel.
Oh my God. I mean, like, oh, and then like even like when the Saletti baby was born and when the baby that what's his name? Mitchell and Noelle, their baby's born. He's so cute, and oh my God, there's like
I don't think we name any of the babies. Tripti's baby doesn't get named.
No, and I wanted Noelle and Mitchell's baby to be a girl and them to name it Evangelina.
That would be good, actually. That would be really good.
I just wonder if it'll have an Australian name or an English name.
Oh, well, is there much difference? I mean, they're kind of close together in terms of culture, right?
No.
Like what would an Australian baby be named versus what would an English baby be named? I mean, come on, Bex. Like, what are you talking about?
I don't know. I think I'm going to be sailing close to the wind if I make suggestions.
Well, I know someone who's
Bruce, Sheila.
That's these are
We've
very
got Australian listeners. This is so inappropriate.
Yes, it is, but also wrong. I know someone though who's called Katie, and her dad's Australian, and I think they're just a bit more like modern. We go quite traditional where I think Australian names are more. I know someone who's got a kid called Riker in Australia, that kind of thing.
Oh,
yeah,
so
but
like
that's a kid that's born now, not a kid that's born in the 60s.
Okay, a kid that's born in the 60s. I don't know.
What's Katie's dad called?
I've no idea.
Oh, you know what I think could be an Australian name for a boy? Ken. I feel like Ken could be an Australian name. I feel like I could hear someone in Australian accent going, "Oh yeah, there's my husband Ken." I don't know why, right?
Barbie? Well,
Right,
Okay,
should we start?
You guys brought this up, so I'm not even going to take any blame
I didn't.
for making...
Becky brought it up, and I kind of went with her until she went really, really, really xenophobic and said Sheila and Bruce.
I just want to apologise to our Australian listeners.
Right, both of our Australian listeners, Sheila and Bruce.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, let's talk about Tripty and her baby. So Barbara's
this is very stupid, but Tripty, the woman who plays Tripty, I just watched her in an episode of this season's Black Mirror, and I saw. Yeah. She's in I think like I want to say the third or fourth episode this season, and it's a really good episode. It's very like dark and scary and creepy and everything like that. But I had never seen her before, and I was like, oh, okay, she's an interesting character and everything. And then literally I turned on this episode to watch it to prep for this, and I was like, oh, and it's the same girl. So just to say, that's all.
I've not seen them yet. I want to.
Black Mirror is really good. It's really good. Highly recommend. Yeah.
Back to Call the Midwife. So Tripty is a Saletti lady. So Barbara has been learning a few words of Saletti so that she can kind of communicate directly with them when she's trying to help them deliver their babies.
Which is amazing.
Yeah. I love the bit where Barbara told Sister Evangelina this, and Sister Evangelina was like, you remind me a lot of me, except that you're too disorganized and too slim.
Oh, that was a lovely scene, though. They really had a lovely heart-to-heart and like a real meeting of minds.
Yeah. And I loved when Sister Evangelina said that, like, for her, she made a big effort to learn Yiddish for Jewish patients and stuff, which I actually thought was quite interesting because, I mean, again, I don't know if this is exactly it, but like my guess was that there was an influx of Jewish immigrants from, Europe and everything after World War II. And so she had a lot of clients or patients who were in that, of that heritage and everything. So I just thought that was really, this, I feel like last episode, well, not last episode, because last episode she was only in it for a few minutes, but I feel like this was in a few ways kind of like the softer side of Sister Evangelina,
Yeah. Well, except when she's talking to Fred, because he does get a rollicking quite a few times.
Yeah, and when she's talking to Sister Monica Joan,
and normally when she's speaking to Barbara.
I love the part where she goes back there and Barbara's just been like pooped on by a baby, and she's like, "Oh, that you really need to talk to the mother about what that baby's eting." And she's like,
that stool is quite substantial."
Yeah, and it's like, oh well, you could go talk to her if you want, because like I wouldn't have a problem doing like whatever job Sister Evangelina was doing. She was like, no, I don't think so. Newborns are like not really my thing right now. So anyways, here's a clean apron. Okay, good luck. Bye. I was like, yeah, no.
But it was
lovely it
was lovely that she's come full circle. She does end up bathing Tripty's baby while Barbara helps her and stays by Tripty's side.
Yeah, she's waiting for the afterbirth because it can take up to an hour.
Yeah, I know. Can we just rewind though for just one quick second, because we've been seeing Barbara's relationships kind of growing, and like I feel like I've been noticing her getting closer to Phyllis, which has been so sweet. But I feel like this episode with Barbara and Sister Evangelina was so beautiful because, I mean, we just joked about how Barbara was like, oh, well, do you want to like go talk to the mom and everything? And we kind of were like, oh, that's because she doesn't really want to do it. But when she came and asked Sister Evangelina to assist with the birth, I kind of thought to myself, oh, this is like Barbara's like really gentle way of like getting her to like dip a toe back into midwifery, which is like really her true passion. And she wouldn't feel comfortable being on call to like go deliver. And then even when Barbara said something about like washing the baby, I was like, I think Barbara like could have given the baby the bath, but she wanted Sister Evangelina to do it. And again, it was like the way that she like just gently was like, oh, come on, we don't want to waste
Barbara a prophet, and she knew what was going to happen.
Okay, we all love Barbara, but let's not go that far.
Because Barbara told Sister Evangelina that she needed to bath the baby so that she could stay by Tripty's side. Then she hovered at Sister Evangelina's shoulder the whole time.
Yes, I saw that too.
Yeah.
But also, like, you could, like, it was so sweet when Sister Evangelina was bathing that baby, and she was just like putting the little water over its head and everything, and she had her like arm that wasn't in good shape, like kind of cradling the baby in the bathtub and everything, and her heart, like, you could just see like the love she had for midwifery and for babies was just like beaming out of her when she got to hold this little baby.
To the baby as well, like, you like that, don't you, pretty little thing? You love it, like, properly enjoying it.
I know. And then when she picked it up and she was like, don't you worry, nurse. What's Barbara's last name? Nurse whatever.
Gilbert.
Yeah. Nurse Gilbert, like, this little lad and I are doing just fine. And she like had wrapped him up and everything, and she was using her bad arm to kind of like cradle him and then holding him with her. It was just so sweet. It was like Barbara really gave Evangelina a gift in that scene, and I just loved it so much.
Now, I have to mention, this is quite a niche point, that when Barbara went to Tripty's house, Tripty had fleas in her house.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And her and Tom commented about how they have to, like, Tom said he had to wear bicycle clips. Now, I had fleas in my house. So...
silence from me, Jen.
You can't see our faces, but we were both kind of like, that emoji where it's just like teeth, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, oh, no.
So when I bought my house, the people that I bought my house had about like 10 cats, and it didn't smell or anything, but I did a lot of work to my house when I moved in. So like I wasn't going to keep the carpets, but then I noticed that all around my ankles, I had like loads of bite marks.
OMG.
And then all around my waist as well, because obviously those were the two bits of flesh that the fleas could get to.
Yeah, and if you were sitting like down doing the skirting boards and stuff, oh my God.
Oh.
And I tried everything to get rid of them. I tried like special spray, like I sprayed all the carpets. I tried carpet cleaner. Then we read that if you put salt down, it like dries the fleas up. So we just put so much salt down. You could just literally kick salt.
I'd have just ripped them up straight away and put them in the garden.
So wait, the carpets were what was holding on to the fleas?
Yes. And it was awful because like if I just couldn't put anything down on the ground. I was so
that's rank.
Like conscious.
Was there not like a fumigation or something you could do in advance of...
I tried everything.
It didn't work.
What did you do?
I ripped the carpets up and took them to the tip.
That's what I'd have done first, just saying.
And that got rid of it. That got rid of it?
Well, once the carpet, they were in the carpet. So once the carpets were gone.
Then they were gone.
Yeah.
Well, girls, I'll just tell a flea story so that we can have some solidarity here.
I don't have any flea stories. Carry on.
Well, you're lucky, and thank God you
don't
don't.
Fleas anymore.
Yeah, so I've never had fleas myself, but many years ago, I went to go visit my best friend from high school, and I was staying at her house. We were gonna stay at her house for like a night or two, and then she and I were gonna go like on a like little vacation ourselves, and then I was gonna go back home. Well, we get to her house. Now she's always had cats our whole lives, and had cats at that time, and the cats had fleas, and so she had known that she had a flea problem prior to me coming, but didn't say anything about it. And so I get there, and we're kind of dealing with it, and she's like, oh, by the way, and because I'm like noticing, you know what I mean? I'm like, obviously, you see them. Well, I was there in her house for probably like 36 hours, and I got not only so many flea bites, but I had like a really bad reaction to them. Like I had like really large like bites, and they were really red and everything like that. It was so itchy to the point where after we left her house and we were at the place where we were going to spend like about a week together, like on vacation in the Cape, I had to go to an urgent care because I was like, I literally couldn't even sleep. Like it was so bad. And like back to your point, like I had them all like I had some on my feet, I had them on my legs, but like I had them really bad around my ankles because that's where like the socks were and everything. And they had to give me like a cream and everything else, and it cost me like $300, blah blah blah, and everything like that. And
that's outrageous that cost $300.
Oh, well, don't get me started on the American healthcare system. But yes, it is outrageous. I didn't have good health insurance at the time. But anyways, it took like a month for those things to like totally fade away because they like, and the thing that was really like so cringe about it was this was obviously the summer. So like I had these, like they were red to start, but then they got really, really, really dark red, and then they started to fade away. So like my legs just looked it like looked like I had adult chickenpox for like a month. It was horrible.
Oh my God.
And they were so itchy and nightmare. So anyways, just to say, it's not good. It's not good.
So Tripty.
But you just never know what your reaction is going to be, right? Like sometimes people have like really weird adverse reactions to things, and you just don't know.
Well, I thought when I first saw the flea storyline, to get back to Call the Midwife, I did actually think there might be a reaction to the baby or something when I first saw this ages ago.
Well, yeah.
And also, I love the fact that her husband was just fast asleep next to her while she was having a
Guys, I thought something was going to be wrong with her husband, but then at the very end, when they were having the funeral for Sister Evangelina, he was just stood there, and I'm like, oh, so he was just super lazy and just sleeping in the middle of the day for no reason.
No, he was lazy.
Work.
He was doing shift work, so he worked. I thought he was trying to portray how hard he worked.
Oh, I guess I must have missed that. I didn't catch on that there was like a reason for him to be just. Although Barbara's line about delivering a baby with the husband asleep in the same bed, I was like,
because he was drunk.
Well, passed out drunk in the same bed.
Oh my God. I was like, oh Lord, I guess you just see all kinds, but
It's the
Can
fact
you
that obviously in
imagine
those
doing that
days,
and then
well, nowadays they'd be bringing, social services. In those days, they were like, yeah, there you go. There's another one for you.
Can you imagine though, for him being passed out drunk in that bed and then coming to in the state that mattress would have been in?
For him.
Oh. Well, and when Barbara says, she's like, part of the reason she asked Evangelina to come, and she's like, well, like the water, like you can get water from the tap, but the toilet's broken, so like I'm gonna have a really hard time kind of cleaning up and doing all the stuff that I need to do on my own. Like, can you please come and help me? And I was just like, oh my God, just another like really complicated birthing zone. But anyways,
they get back to Nonnatus house, and Barbara says she'll make them tea and toast. Tea and toast sounds like a dream to me, but they're going to have a bit of chocolate button cake, which Sister Monica Jonas scoffed because she found it first.
I put a note here. I would be so angry with the Sister Monica Jonas, like so angry that I've missed
out.
I
would be absolutely like.
I love the way Sister Monica denied it.
Well, also, I'd just be pissed off because they work so hard, and it's like long hours and ridiculous thing, and then they come home and they have one thing to look forward to, and she scoffed it, and I just hate her.
Well, also, like, she literally can't even leave a slice, for God's sake. Like, Sister Evangelina was like, there's a half of a cake in that tin, and like the whole thing is gone. It's just like, you couldn't even leave a slice for them to even like split or something. Like,
I think I'm the Sister Monica Joan of this scenario, so I can't really contribute.
My husband is the Sister Monica Joan of this scenario.
Yeah, she really is. All of my previous irritation with Sister Monica Joan, like that I've like given her, like that I've forgotten and given her grace for the last like a whole bunch of episodes, came racing back. I was just like, oh my God,
I just said I hated her then. Like,
I would have gone absolutely off, and like Sister Evangelina did, and I was very glad.
Chocolate buttons, are they a thing over there?
Nope, no such thing as chocolate buttons in the US.
You're joking.
No,
but it's only really a Cadbury's thing, isn't it?
Oh,
I mean, if you can get if you can get them, you can have them, but they're not.
I implore all listeners to have some chocolate buttons. They are delicious.
The only thing I will say is, and they're not in any way comparable at all, is the only thing we have that's relatively similar is like plain M&Ms, but they're not even remotely the same.
They've got a weird candy shell.
Yeah,
and the chocolate.
No, actually, I would say M&Ms are more like Smarties.
Yeah, they're Smarties.
Yeah. Chocolate buttons are just like what chocolate buttons are? Chocolate buttons are like the little discs of chocolate that you can buy whenever you're like trying to like bake chocolate to like melt it down or whatever. Except if you buy like the really nice kind of that. That's the only thing I could think of that they're similar to, because they're just little drops of chocolate that you just eat.
Delicious ones, yeah.
Now, I have a bone to pick with Barbara, because she just left Sister Evangelina sat in that chair all night.
Okay.
Yeah, but she might have been like, we don't know that Sister Evangelina didn't have a conversation with her. She was going to do the Horlicks, by the way, Horlicks alert.
Yeah.
But she was going to do a Horlicks, and then
she's going to do a cup of tea.
Oh, a cup of tea. Well, there was a Horlicks bit, though. I did have a Horlicks.
With Trixie and...
Oh, well, I'll put the Horlicks clacks on too early, but it doesn't matter. We've got it now. But she might have just been like, I'll leave you with your tea, drinking that, and then she'd be like, okay, I'll be up in a minute or something. You know what I mean?
That's exactly what I thought. Yeah. Because Barbara like covered her with a blanket before she'd finished making the cup of tea, so I thought, okay, she covered with her blanket. Sister Evangelina probably just started like snoozing, and then she's like, okay, I'll just leave the tea here. I'm gonna go up, and then when she
because the tea was next to her when Fred found it the next morning.
Yeah. So I don't think Barbara neglected.
Oh, Fred finding it.
Oh God. Oh.
The first time I watched this episode, I just wasn't expecting it.
Same. I was so shocked.
I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked the first time I watched this. I was watching with my mom, who already had seen it and knew what happened, and I was like, no. My mom was just like, I looked at her and she just like, I know, and I was like, I don't even know. I was, oh God.
He took his hat off and was just so sad. His little face just crumpled and
because when the first time I watched it and he did that, I was like, oh, Fred, that's a bit of a leap. She's not died.
Same. I thought it was going to be like a comedic thing, like he'd taken his hat off thinking she died, and then actually no, she wasn't. But it was not comedic. It was absolutely harrowing.
No, It was so serious. I genuinely felt like a member of my family had died. Like, I felt so sad when she went. Oh God.
It was really sad. I'll tell you what though, I was so pleased that she managed to have that last birth before she went.
Yeah.
I thought that was the reason why she could go.
Yeah.
I thought that was why she
yeah.
could go. I don't want to make a huge statement about this, but I do sometimes believe in like certain types of signs or like things like kind of that are maybe like a little bit more like kind of woo-woo or like metaphysical or whatever. And like to me, like her getting to take care of like one last baby, like after she'd come back and like then in her like home that she loved so much, doing exactly what she loved so much, was almost like a way for her to say like, okay, like the journey's complete and like now I can like close the door. Like that's just my own like kind of woo-woo-ness or whatever. But I
did notice though this episode she was quite bad-tempered, so I didn't know if that was a sign that something was about some change in her brain was afoot.
But also, would that be a symptom from the earlier stroke?
I thought so, but I don't know. It just seemed a bit more exacerbated, and she seemed to try and be controlling it a bit more. I don't know if I was just overthinking it.
It might have been some kind of like inner conflict, you know what I mean? Like,
or maybe it's just that everybody's incompetent around her.
Yeah, that's true. I feel that way about my work, so I get it.
If you were a listener that works with Alex, apologies for...
No apologies.
Don't worry about that.
No apologies, just getting better at your job.
The thing is, this is one of those episodes that I don't even feel like anybody wrote the script. I just feel like people just like we literally just watch people live their lives and like this is what happened. Like I mean the writing on this was so seamless and so perfect. It was so much like real life. I don't know what how to say it better than that. It just was, I don't know, there was something so real about it. Just every part of it just felt nobody was even acting, like they were just living as these people and we were just watching them live as these people.
Well, I do think for them as well it would be their last scenes with Pam Ferris, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So actually it probably was quite emotional.
Well, we're gonna get there like more, but like when Sister Julienne and Sister Mary Cynthia are like looking at the wedding dresses, and Sister Mary Cynthia says about giving the wedding dress to Noelle, and Sister Julienne is like, oh well, like we've never been able to like ignore her before, like we can't start now or whatever when she like commands us to do something, and then they both start laughing, and then Sister Julienne starts crying like as she's laughing, like
yeah.
Oh my God, just like tear me to pieces. Like I was just, because I thought to myself, like, not only is Sister Julienne like mourning the loss of her sister, right? But I really just thought, like, I'm sure Jenny Agutter is like absolutely heartbroken that she's losing one of her friends. You know what I mean? Because obviously she's gonna go. Anyways, we'll get there more. But like, just absolutely.
It was.
So should we talk about Noelle and Mitchell now?
Sure.
Yeah, that mother-in-law, awful.
Why is she awful?
How is she awful? Were you joking?
Would you want her as a mother-in-law, Bex?
She was getting them married. She was getting everything sorted.
As someone's an adult, why is she doing it all? She just talked for him and was just awful, Bags. Like he's an actual adult. And she's like, he's doing it. Don't get that under the lapel. She was a nightmare.
Yeah, but at the reception when Noelle's in labour, he's not exactly by Noelle's side. Like he's not exactly the most dynamic.
He's a 60s man.
He's not allowed. He's not allowed.
Well, exactly. That's why his mother needs to be.
I can't believe you don't think she's awful. Like, yeah, she's present at her birth. That doesn't give her like the Human of the Year award.
Like the thing is, like,
it was awful.
Did you not think it was bad that she was literally going around town and talking about how she was like desperate that her son's baby wasn't born a bastard, and like how he'd knocked her up and never would have come back if like he'd done it, and how like they were barely gonna make it on time, and like how.
And also when she first met Violet, she was like, "Oh, Violet, Fred, you've not met Tessie. Her mum married my uncle or whatever," and she was like, "Yeah," and they had a rubbish life because of it. Like she was horrible.
She was so controlling and like so telling everyone's business. I mean, look, she was sweet about a lot of stuff for sure, but like
the way she was like, "Don't call me. Should I call you Mrs. Anselm or Mum or Tessie?" She was like, "Well, you may as well call me Mum now."
And I thought that's a bit weird when daughter-in-laws or son-in-laws call people mum or dad, isn't it?
Same.
Yeah, I don't like that. Also, what else was like when Noelle was finally wearing the wedding dress and everything, and she was like trying it on to like see how it worked or whatever, and she was like, "Oh, you hold the bouquet lower, no, still lower." He's like basically like hide this pregnancy as
we don't want people to know your shame
of your like. Yeah, exactly. Like, look, she was really sweet, but you just know that she's gonna be the most like Tessie is gonna be the most controlling, bossy.
She was also really controlling and bossy to Tom. Like, get it done now. They had to go.
Yeah.
Permission from the bishop.
Exactly.
She just knew what needed to be done, and she got it done.
Well, sure. On the flip side, yes, you are right about that. But yes, I mean,
fair,
I've,
yes,
I've just seen the best in her.
the thing is, that's gonna be those two. Like, that's gonna be their life for the next 30 years while she's like bossing them around Poplar, like every single day of the week.
Tess, his mum is a cow.
Well, even Violet, like she said something to Fred, she was like, "Oh, he's a handful." Like, I mean, she knows what.
Oh, so Noelle obviously is on her own. How old do you think Noelle is? About 20?
20, yeah.
Also, how old do you think Mitchell is? Because I didn't think Mitchell looked that
20,
young.
20.
Oh, I thought quite young, 21 or something. He had one of them faces you can see him as a granddad as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's gonna look the same for like 40 years. Yeah.
Yeah, but Sister Mary Cynthia went round to check the bride because she came off the boat and then she knew she was getting married straight away, pretty much.
Also, bless her heart. So when Mitchell left Australia, he didn't know that Noelle was pregnant. So I'm going to say maybe she was about less than 3 months, because at 3 months she would have known, wouldn't she?
Yeah, probably.
Definitely, yeah.
So the boat's been stuck at Cape Town.
Yeah.
She's been literally traveling for almost 6 months.
Well, wait a minute. Do you think the boat
have to send the money over to get her?
I don't think it took her 6 months by boat to get there. I think she was like delayed in departing for many months. Like, I think she was still living her life in Australia, and then they were like, the boat's delayed, and then finally, like, I don't know, like a month ago or whatever, they were like, okay, we can go, and then they go boop, and then they sail around. But
also he probably had to save up to send the money over as well, because obviously
I literally thought she found out she was pregnant, got on a boat, and then has been like pregnant the whole time on the boat.
To be honest, Beck, so did I, but I'm also the person who thought a flying squad was a helicopter. So anyway,
I still don't know what the Boer War is, so I mean, we're all just batting 1,000 here on some of this stuff.
Feather boas. So anyway, so she was having an appointment with Sister Mary Cynthia just to see how far along she was and how everything, and she's very far along. But she was talking about a wedding dress, and bless Tessie, to be fair, she's done the narrative thing. She's just done it a really awful way by bossing everyone around. But she'd got an outfit for her, which was this like brightly coloured outfit with a brightly coloured hat. Yeah. And she was like, it's beautiful, but will I feel bridal? And I was like, well, yeah, you will, because you're a bride, so suck it up. I just don't get that.
Yeah, but Al, you were an unconventional bride. Like, I understood what Tess was saying. Like, I think it made sense.
Yeah, but Alex wasn't unconventional, because you still wore off-white.
I wore gold.
Her dress wasn't white at all.
No, I said off-white.
Black's off-white in that description then.
It was, no, the dress you wore was like that metallic-y with like different colors and like some...
Yeah, but it was still bridal. It was still bridal colours.
Not really.
It was.
Do you know what? I'll do this. I'll blur my face out and stuff. But what I'll do is I'll put a picture on the Call The Midwife thing, and people can say if they think it's bridal or not.
The dress
when you say, somebody's an alternative bride, like it's like they get married in red or something.
Yeah, but
married in red.
like when you think of a classic bride from like a Western culture like ours, you think of like a woman literally in a white dress with a veil, and that was
long
not
white dress.
Yeah, like Noelle was gonna be wearing like a pink skirt, a floral top, and then like a big flowery like 60s like boof like head dress thing you do on top. Like, that would not have been a bridal outfit at all. Like,
no, I don't think it would have been.
No,
like
the outfit she actually wore, I think that was a wonderful solution.
We need to provide a bit of context, because they're converting the attics at the mother house into rooms, so they've got to clear out the loft. So they've sent all of the belongings of the nuns to Nonnatus House, and they're all looking at the wedding dresses that they wore when they made their vows.
Mm-hmm.
Which, can I just say, poor Sister Mary Cynthia didn't get to do.
No, she did not.
And in future episodes, can I just say, I don't want to do any spoilers, but there is a scene with other nuns turning into nuns, and they do get to wear wedding dresses, and that annoyed me for poor Sister Mary Cynthia. Carry on.
I felt Sister Mary Cynthia, I really felt she belonged this week. Not that they've not made her feel welcome, but I really felt that I agree. Some episodes I feel like she's felt a bit halfway house between the sisters and the nurses.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt like she really belonged now.
100%. I also got that scene with all the nuns talking about their dresses, their wedding dresses, was absolutely gorgeous. And obviously Sister Evangelina's last scene with all the sisters together, it was absolutely gorgeous. And the way that Sister Evangelina was totally like I feel about wedding dresses, like just absolute ridiculous load of fabric that's just not for me. And she didn't wearing it.
I'm gonna be honest, the whole wearing a wedding dress to like become become a nun, it made me uncomfortable. I'm just gonna say it made me
You
uncomfortable.
still do it, Jen.
Huh?
You still do it.
I just don't. I don't know. I mean, I get it. I get why they're doing it, but like, just to me, like, there's a weird kind of like odd, off-putting sexism to it about it that I personally just find like strange, and I don't like it. Sorry, I just don't. I thought the dresses were great. I loved seeing them, but like, I just that whole conversation just made me feel really uneasy. Sorry.
Oh, I thought it was a beautiful scene.
I mean, between the women, it was like nice with how they were reminiscing about becoming nuns and like how it was at the time and like what they felt. And I like the fact that Sister Monica Joan was like, oh, that was my dress. And then Sister Winifred was like, oh my God, really? And they had like accidentally worn the same one they didn't know and everything. Like, it was a nice scene among the women, but like the practice of that thing of like wearing a wedding dress to like fully enter into your like nun's vows, like I don't know, it just made me feel weird. Sorry. Not them, but the practice of doing that made me felt weird. I don't know. I don't like it. Sorry.
Well, I didn't mind it, so they can do what they want to do. But but yeah, so they were talking.
Well,
and then,
but you don't even like wedding dresses, and you didn't even wear like a classic wedding dress to your wedding. So
yeah,
like,
but that's my choice. If other people want to,
I know, but that's what I'm saying. We all contain multitudes. That's the whole thing of this whole thing.
Yeah. Anyway, so Noelle had no wedding dress and she was heavy pregnant. And basically, I think they even mentioned the fact that you're a lot slimmer, kind of just to say that when she was younger, she was also not as thin, Sister Evangelina, because Noelle wore her dress. So Sister Mary Cynthia donated it to Noelle and they all altered it. And I thought it was really nice the way they were all working together, kind of, because obviously Evangelina was a grafter, in Fred's words, and they were all working on things as like a kind of tribute to Sister Evangelina.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really lovely. And she looked absolutely gorgeous in that dress, actually, Noelle.
Oh, it was a beautiful dress.
Beautiful dress.
Yeah. And then like clockwork, she gets married and then she literally has the baby behind a curtain at the reception.
On a wedding day, can you imagine?
I cannot imagine.
I got drunk and went to a technical metal club in Vegas on my wedding day.
Okay, here's the question. Have you guys ever been to a wedding where the bride was pregnant?
Yes.
I never have. That I know of. I mean, even I know a lot of wanton women. Now, I've been to a wedding where
I have my sister-in-law's wedding.
Your sister-in-law
to my
was
brother.
Oh, okay. There we go. I mean, it happens.
One where they actually announced it at the wedding.
Okay. I mean, I think it's fine to be pregnant at your wedding. There's absolutely nothing wrong there. I just think it's a little unusual. I mean, the thing that made me laugh was like literally giving birth on your wedding day.
Yeah, and just behind the curtain.
My cousin was pregnant at her wedding. Like a month later, she had a baby, and they booked it like 3 years in advance.
You'd be so annoyed by that.
Well, to be fair, she looked gorgeous, but yeah,
but you can't have a drink at your wedding.
She doesn't drink anyway. It's all right.
Okay. When did she find out she was pregnant in relation to the wedding?
Like 6 months before, 7 months before.
Oh, so she was really well pregnant at her own wedding.
She was 8 months pregnant, yeah.
Oh, wow.
My daughter was 2 months old at the time, or 3 months old at the time.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh, wow. Anyways, yeah. But yeah, they have the baby, and literally the husband is there, like at the party where everyone's doing like a conga line and like the twist, dance craze or whatever. And then all of a sudden they just go, oh, you've got a boy, and he just stands up and like, is excited and whatever. And it's just, it was just that was wild.
We mentioned earlier that Susan Mullocks had come into the clinic. So should we move on to the thalidomide scandal? Because it breaks in this episode.
Oh, it breaks my heart in this episode.
Yeah. So I'll give a little history at the moment. So here's the thing. I did a little bit of research about this. I had known about it before, but it's really, really sad. So just to say, thalidomide was a drug that was developed in the 1950s and 1960s by a German company. The name of the company is, now I apologize for my German pronunciation, but it's a company called Heme Grunenthal. It's obviously that's German. Apologies to people who speak German. I don't speak German. I apologize. But anyways, they developed the drug, and the sad thing is, as I was reading up about this, the company actually has ties to Nazis and like Nazi medical testing and everything, which was.
We didn't think it could get any worse.
Yeah, I know. When I read about like, some of the doctors and chemists who work for the company and how they were into like eugenics and things like that, it was really, really upsetting. But just to say that, so the drug was approved and it initially started to go out to patients in West Germany, and then it went all over Europe and was in the UK and Australia and Canada and a lot of other countries, Spain, things like that. And they started to notice that they were having birth defects kind of along with it. It was originally prescribed as, all the things we saw in the show, anxiety, sleeplessness, nausea, various things like that. There were, by 1961, the drug was withdrawn in the UK. Germany realized there was a problem as well. They
withdrew it a week before, they said on this.
Mm-hmm. And they estimate that between 10,000 and 20,000 people were affected by it, meaning they were the children of women who had taken the drugs. One of the things that really upset me, so I'm just going to pass along that horrible fact to you all, is that apparently, and I think we kind of knew this a little bit, but I didn't realize kind of how specific it was. So the severity and location of the deformities were dependent on how many days into the pregnancy the mother was before beginning the drug. So the thalidomide taken on the 20th day of pregnancy caused central brain damage. Day 21 would damage the eyes. Day 22, the ears and face. Day 24, the arms and leg damage would occur if taken up to day 28. I guess one very small silver lining is that it didn't damage the fetus if it was taken after 42 days of gestation. So if you took it later on in your pregnancy, then you could avoid some of the really worst effects of it and everything. I will say the US, this was interesting history. So the US actually never really had thalidomide in this country because there was a female pharmacologist, Frances Oldham Kelsey, who withstood the pressure from Richardson Merrill Pharmaceuticals to get approval by the FDA for the drug. And so we did have American families and children who were affected by the drug, but only because there was drugs that came into the US via a clinical drug trial, and then some people who got the drug in Europe or over the counter some other way, not approved in the US for prescription in the US. So there were Americans and American families who were affected, but not in any way at the same level because, again, of this heroic effort by this pharmacologist. But just to say as a footnote, or kind of, I guess, a continuation of this story now, is that the drug is currently in use for certain types of cancers. One of the ones they said was myeloma. And
what's really funny? Not funny at all. It's not funny at all. Strange. My uncle's been diagnosed with myeloma and he's just been prescribed this drug.
Right. Apparently it also is part of a possible course of treatment if you have AIDS as well, which has only been, kind of determined recently. They do still obviously heavily monitor the use in regards to anyone that could potentially either become pregnant or be associated with someone who could become pregnant. So even if a man is taking the drugs, if they are in a active sexual relationship with a woman who could become pregnant, they always, screen for that and vet for that to make sure that appropriate precautions are being taken so that no pregnancies occur, even for the man who's having sex with a woman, I guess we could say, not to put it too like blatantly there. But yeah, just really, really horrible kind of history. As I was doing some research, they showed some of the, pictures of children who had, all the birth defects that, we kind of see on the show a little bit. There was also a really, very tough picture to look at of like, here, I'll show it to you guys on the screen if you can see. So it's basically a harness or how do they describe it? It says artificial limbs. Yeah, artificial limbs made for an affected child in the 1960s. And just to describe the picture, it's kind of prosthetic legs, prosthetic arms from the elbow down, and then basically a brace that goes around the torso of the person's body so that they can kind of present as a person with full arms and legs and that could potentially walk around. I don't know if walking was possible in a brace like that, but yeah, so really sad and painful history. And
weird question, do either of you know anyone affected by this?
No,
I do. There's a pharmacist where I live who has affected arms from this.
Really?
Yeah.
So apparently they said that kids who had it, that that they still could have like a long lifespan, or I guess a relatively normal lifespan, because there were
face as well. It depends how badly they were affected by it.
Right. So some of the so they said that about 40% of the children who were born with these birth defects didn't survive. So obviously very, very serious. There are really serious internal injuries that happen when you have these kind of birth defects because of the drug. So there's obviously life-threatening issues that carry on into your life if you do survive past a certain point. But there are people who have a lot of issues because of the thalidomide, but they do have normal lives as disabled persons. So very
at the time they didn't know that by prescribing it to mothers, there wasn't that testing around the fact that it's transferred to the fetus.
Well, girls, here's what I'll just say. So I feel like I was kind of reading through the lines here. So I can't find it specifically, but it said that, initially there was no thought that there would be harm to a pregnant person who was taking the drugs. But my guess is that they didn't really do accurate testing, and they just kind of they had the same kind of medical assumptions that governed a lot of medical testing back then, which is that, women are just men with like different funky body parts. And if you prescribe something for a man safely, that it would be this exact same for a woman. And, really not a lot of, now I don't know enough about the medical history, so I'm happy to be corrected. I didn't go super deep on that, but reading between the lines of the research that I did, I didn't get the sense that there was really a lot of thoughtful or accurate testing done on the harm that could be caused to a woman or a fetus if she was pregnant prior to prescribing that drug. So, and
I thought the show portrayed it really well, because as soon as Sheila and Dr. Turner become aware, they involve Nurse Crane and Sister Julienne, and they're kind of going back through all the patient records, trying to find who they've prescribed it to. Rhoda Mullix wasn't prescribed it, but she was given a pill by her sister.
Yep.
Then there are mothers that they know that they've prescribed it to, but went on to have healthy babies with no issues, which goes to show that it depends specifically at what point in the pregnancy
you take it.
The mother took the pills. So yeah, I thought they did a really good job of portraying that aspect of it.
On the actual that part, not to make light of it, but I really loved their investigative journalism, not journalism, but their investigative research in that room.
Forensic science.
Yeah, but there was Patsy as well, wasn't it? Because Sister Julienne had to go back to there. So Nurse Crane was like, get Nurse Mount. She's fantastic, a wizard with a Rolodex, and she's calm under pressure. So they got her. They were there discussing it, and I thought I would watch a show that's just about these people trying to like solve medical anomalies.
Oh, they could have made the whole episode about it. Yeah.
Their filing system, honestly, the stuff that they can track down. There's a later episode where Sheila goes deep in the filing system to track somebody down and works out what's happened, and it does amaze me.
Yeah.
Well, and Sister Julienne, it was really heartbreaking because she told a story about how when Ruby Cottingham's baby was born, the doctor said, "Oh, another one." And the thing that was really sad was when Sheila had gotten the news that the drug had been withdrawn. She told Dr. Turner, they're saying that there's only been 1 or 2 cases in the UK, and there's been more in Germany, but not that many more. And they're just, kind of doing this as a precaution and everything. And then he gets really upset because he feels so guilty about how many times he prescribed it, and just the complete, I mean, I don't condone it or accept it, but their desire to minimize like the true damage that had been wrought was, obvious in terms of why they were underplaying the real threat and everything. But I mean, even just the patients on the show, I mean, they found like a ton of people who'd been negatively affected by this drug.
Yeah. Well, when Dr. Turner was saying, he got really upset and he was like, I prescribed this to dozens of patients, if not scores. I'd be like, what do you mean scores? What's scores again? Is that 20s? I got to be a bit confused. But
I think a score is 20. Is 20.
But Nurse Crane was so lovely. She was like, this is not your fault, doctor. This is not, and then poor Rhoda was when they told her.
Oh, well, the irony that Rhoda hadn't been prescribed it when she was pregnant, but obviously
just prescribed recently
medication. Yeah, she was just prescribed it.
But girls, we all know how common it is for now prescription drugs are a little bit different, but like for someone to say, oh, you've got a headache, like here, have this, like this really helps or whatever like that. I mean, that kind of drug sharing, like
we've literally been stood at a bus stop, Alex, and you were like, oh God, splitting headache, and someone gave you paracetamol in the front that was stood in front of us at a bus queue.
I can't even remember that because it was actually Riphypnol. And
Well, I was going to say, like, what's a paracetamol? Like, you never know, I guess. But yeah, certainly if like,
I don't remember that at all.
But if someone like actually that you trust gave you a medication and they were like, oh, here, take this, like it'll really calm you down, or here, like I take this, like give it a try or whatever. Like all of us have done that. Again, I can't say with with like prescription drugs, same thing. It's a little bit different there.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm sure,
I think I'd be a bit more.
Yeah, but just to say, it didn't shock me that kind of use was happening on the regular, and it definitely didn't shock me that there, because I can't remember exactly which patient they said this about, but like she'd been prescribed the thalidomide prior to becoming pregnant, but then she'd had a few left over, and so then she like took them again after she was pregnant, and then that's when the problem occurred. And I was like, well, I've definitely done that. We're like, not I've had something left over, and then I'll down the road I'll be like, oh, well, I feel this way again, X, and then you just take it later, and it so that's it was.
I'm sorry, Jen, I interrupted you. Do you know what that made was when Rhoda was talking about she'd taken Susan to the clinic, and there was a baby baby boy that his legs weren't affected, but his arms, and they'd amputated his fingers because they said they were going to be useless. And actually, they probably wouldn't have been useless because although they're not functional in the way that
a normal
hand is,
would
he would have had some function.
Yeah. Well, we could already see with Susan that she was developing the use of her hand. She said, "Oh, she can hold onto a rattle really, really strong, you know, or she can hold. She has a good grip on a rattle. She can really hold onto a rattle." Is what I meant to say.
Well, there's a famous artist over here called Alison Lapper who was born. She was a thalidomide baby, and she's
was she on the plinth in Trafalgar Square? Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
So she's a famous artist, and she's actually had that was a sculpture of her pregnant because she had a baby, and there was a sculpture of her pregnant in Trafalgar Square because there was a plinth when they did a load of different exhibitions of different artists and stuff, and she was there. But she, you know, she's a very successful artist and famous over here. Well, I don't know. She might be in America. I don't know, but she's a child of thalidomide. It's affected her arms and her legs.
What kind of art does she produce?
Susan Mullocks. Oh, I don't know. Well, paintings and things like that, and sculptures and things like that.
And I apologize for not knowing this, but like I'm assuming that even if you are a thalidomide baby, that once you grow up, if you do have another baby of your own, that none of those issues will transfer to your child, right? Is that
none
correct?
did for her son?
Okay.
She does painting with her mouth and feet.
Oh, okay. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Good for her. Really good for her.
Well, should we talk about Ruby Cottingham as well?
Oh, yes. God.
The other mum putting gin in a tea, and she has to go to a cafe to drink a gin and tea in peace because at home she's just got loud boys and she's so fixated on this daughter idea, saying that, the acting again was amazing. Considering her and Jenny Agatha hadn't acted together for a good while, it was just fantastic. Talking about how she couldn't name a child because she never knew her, because she never saw a baby, did she?
No, she didn't.
Oh. Well, and the way she said, she's like, "Oh, I thought if I could give her a name and kind of think of her as a person, that then I could forget her." And she's like, "But I can't," and I just keep, basically she's like, "I'm haunted by, this whole experience and everything, and I can't even be around my kids because it's too upsetting and I'm too upset, and so I basically do what little I can for them, and then I just get out of the house and come to the coffee shop and sit here for however many hours I can tolerate it and just drink coffee like doused in whiskey or whatever." And oh God.
Well, Delia and Patsy see her at the coffee shop and they notice that she's putting gin in her tea, which is not going to be the best.
Just goes to show like how down and out she is. You know what I mean? Like that's just.
Don't get me wrong. I love a cup of tea. I could sit in a cafe and drink tea all day, but not with gin.
Oh, but the scene between Sister Julian and Ruby, I mean, again, like just Sister Julian's like thoughtfulness and compassion with it and everything, and just a tough. By this point in the episode, I was just absolutely like a puddle. I was just reduced. I mean, at this point, like Sister Evangelina is gone. Like, Susan has already come back. Like Rhoda's been so upset and everything. I mean, the scene with Rhoda where she's crying about, why didn't I just, get on with it? And why didn't I just suffer through? Like, it wasn't even that bad, but like, oh no, I had to feel happy all the time and everything. Meanwhile, she's got like.
Before she was already upset, before even knowing this, because she's just. In the night, she's like, I wake up and I think she's, I just remember that we've got a whole hard road ahead, but she's got a whole hard road against her coming up. And she's already so anxiety ridden, and that's obviously why she's prescribed Distaval. But then again, it's just constant upset in her life.
Yeah. Well, and just to say, like, I was really hard on Bernie when Susan was born, and I was really hard on him, and but like when she talked about him, calling Susan like my beautiful and everything after she was 4 months old, and then one of his friends like crossed the street because he didn't want to talk to them as they saw them walking down the street with Susan in the pram and everything, and then he didn't call Susan my beautiful for another bunch of months and everything after that because he was so ashamed. I just thought like okay, I am hard on Bernie, and I get that, whatever. I mean, I have my feelings about him, but the fact that there was so much that other people did, and there was so much societal and cultural like stigma around this issue, and not just the thalidomide, and but like people with disabilities in general, because we've seen this with other kids. I can't remember the name now, but the family who they had a baby who had spina bifida. Yes. They considered maybe giving the baby up because they didn't know if they could really take care of it, and then they did come around, but like people really horrible to them about it, and like openly horrible, and kind of critical of this baby who was born with disability with this disability,
and gloating over it to them.
And I just I mean I just thought oh God, it just made me feel a lot more compassion for. I mean, Rhoda already really had a lot of compassion for me anyway, but it did make me feel for Bernie, because I thought God, that's terrible, to have to go through something like that. And Anyway, so sorry. I know that was really depressing, but just so heartbreaking. This whole.
Do we go to something that's not as depressing but still quite depressing? Should we talk about the coffee and tea scene with?
Oh
with
yeah, only marginally less sad. I will say that scene at least made me more angry than depressed. So that's something, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So we're talking about Delia and Patsy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Going for tea with Delia's mum.
Who, can I just say, I think this proves that she did know all along. She's like,
yeah, and I can't remember which side of the fence I landed on last time. Did I think she knew or did I think she didn't?
I think you went with Jen. I think you were wrong too. Just saying.
I didn't agree with Jen. What did Jen think that she didn't know?
Yeah.
I still don't think that Delia's mom has known since day one, but I do think that at some point Delia's mom figured it out, and certainly by this point she's figured it out. Definitely.
Can we also just have a shout out for the name Auntie Vlad? I don't know why you don't live with your Auntie Vlad. I love it. I don't know where the name Vlad comes from, but I love it. And then she's like, you don't want to train as a midwife. It's a nasty personal job. And Patsy's like, well, I do it. And she's like, I know you do. And then you two are thick as thieves. And then I loved how Patsy was just like, could you please give Delia a passport? I loved it. She took control.
A birth certificate.
Oh, did I say? Well, I put passport here for a passport.
Now, I think you were a bit judgy of Delia's mum then.
Yeah, I was.
Wait a minute, you're judgy of Delia's mom when? Just now?
Alex was.
Yeah, I always have been.
And why wouldn't you want to be judgy of Delia's mum?
Well, no, I think we should be, but I think she did her best.
We have this
okay, keep going, Bex. You've wandered into this yourself, so keep on going.
I just think she was trying to be supportive, but it's still not an easy.
I know what you're trying to say. There's a big stigma in those days as well, and that's her only daughter, and she wants grandkids because that's also what she'll be thinking about. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
but I just think when there's the two extremes of how people could react, I just don't think it was the worst reaction.
It wasn't the worst reaction, but I do think that's why she was trying to keep her from going back to London, if I'm honest, when she was.
Yeah, and now I remember that I did think she knew then. And I think she's come to terms with it a lot because she says, I'm not an unsophisticated woman. And she says, don't do anything to make your father cry.
She also said, I've been to Jersey and the Isle of Man.
Well, she's not an unsophisticated woman, Alex.
Well, that's true. She's been to Jersey and the Isle of Man.
So I just think, given the times, I thought she was quite supportive.
Yeah, but we're watching it in 2023.
To
be fair, Jen, we are watching it in 2023, and she probably wouldn't have wanted her daughter to be a lesbian, not even just because of the grandkids and all that, just because she probably didn't want her getting flack from other people as well. I will say that in a protective way.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you a little bit on that. I'll give you some of that. But the thing is that like
I'm not saying it was the ideal situation.
I don't generally.
I'm totally team Delia and Patsy.
No, I know you are. I know you are, and I know how you feel about these issues.
Carry on, sorry.
I think a lot of stuff can get excused by, oh, well, it was the times. Oh, it was this,
Yeah.
And sure, that's fine. But like, if something is wrong, it's wrong. Like, whatever time it happened in, it was wrong. Like, you know what I mean? Like, lots of horrible stuff has happened. It never should have happened. Like, it didn't matter what time it was or what norms were at the time. Like, it was still wrong. Like, people should have thought about it and known better. And like, I understand that the time we live in does excuse a lot of behavior, or at least gives like really important context.
Not that
why
it excuses it. I think it gives it context.
Yeah. So like, I get that. And like, look, there's things that I've thought and felt and said and did like in my lifetime that now, if I look back, and I do look back, and I have looked back, that I thought, oh my God, like absolutely horrible. Like I should have. And I've never done anything like super, super bad, but you know what I mean? Like things you just had opinions about, or stuff you watch and then you revisit it later and you're like, oh, that's terrible. Like, why did I think that was okay? Or why did I think that was whatever? And it's because that, context for that time period like did exist. And so I do get that. But I mean, the thing that I just find really frustrating is, and believe me, like as a person who has not gone through this life experience themselves, I know that it's a very specific thing. And there's a lot of, real human experience that people have documented and talked about in terms of how it is, but I don't know.
And I think as well for a mum, like it's difficult to articulate it. Like I just think she did the best. She articulated it the best way that she could.
Shall we say how she said?
The underlying message was basically like, I'm your mum and I'm always going to love you.
I can bear it if you upset me. I'm your mum and you're a grown woman. Just don't do anything that make your dad cry.
I didn't get I'm your mom and I'm always going to love you. I got like, I will tolerate you, but like, I want you to hide this from your father because he won't and it would really upset him. And like, I mean, to me, there was not much wiggle room there at all. I didn't get like, I love you unconditionally from Delia's mom at all. I got like, I know what's really going on and I'm going to deal with it, but I didn't get unconditional love from her. Not even close. Sorry.
Wow.
That was to me what was really painful about it, honestly.
The thing is, though, it doesn't matter because she's now got a passport, Delia. Well, she's got her birth certificate to be able to get a passport. And now she's going to go to Paris and go with Patsy and they're going to have a great life.
Yeah.
And that's the important part here.
It is.
Should we move on to Sister Evangelina's funeral just to lighten the mood?
This episode, oh my word.
Well,
God.
I just like the way that just before the funeral, Fred was kind of just out of sorts and Tom was like, would you like a cup of tea? It's well sugared. And he was doing a bite. And then he was like, she never once said thank you in 18 and a half years of bicycle maintenance. She was a grafter. I was like, how is that a tribute, Fred?
She's really ungrateful.
No. I mean, you guys heard what Tom said. Like, Tom says, like, oh, like, if she was here, she would have said thank you for, like, all the things you did for her. And he's like, no, she wouldn't. Like, she never said thank you. Like, she was hard as nails. She grafted every day of her life. Like, that wasn't, like, it wasn't her at all to, like, stop and, like, exchange pleasantries and everything. But he said it with, like, I thought real affection for her. I mean,
he did. I was joking. But also, so I really like the fact that she would have hated an ostentatious funeral with loads of people coming to see her. She got that.
The horses with the feathers
paid for fully because of the grafting she'd done, but also the way that the nuns were all working hard. The crack team were working really hard on the medical side of it with Nurse Crane and Patsy, but also the nurses were working hard on Noelle's wedding dress. I just thought it was a really nice tribute to her.
Also, she was like the Queen with the people of Poplar literally queuing up to
pay respect.
Yeah.
I wonder if Philip Schofield and Holly Willoughby got in
Jump
there.
the queue.
Yeah.
like Sheila and Timothy.
Yes, but to be fair, Sheila and Timothy were right. They were doing something. Sister Evangelina would have approved of that because they were doing something important.
But what I want to know is, where were the other nuns from Compline at the funeral?
Well, quite.
Where was Mrs. B?
Where was Jenny?
Yeah.
She was narrating the bloody funeral. Can we also talk about the really beautiful scene between Peter and Trixie at the coffin?
Oh, well, I wonder, is this the last time we're going to see Peter?
We've said this twice though, so I don't know.
I know, but it builds up and it's building up, and then he just keeps popping up.
I think because the season's ending, he's not going to be back. I don't think he'll be back for season 6. Is what I mean to say.
Yeah, but the way he said he used to be terrified of her, and then they both held hands, and it was just a really nice, touching moment. And then the song at the end, "Till" by Shirley Bassey. It was really beautiful.
It was. Yeah, it was perfect.
Nothing to add there, Jeff.
Girls, I mean, you guys have said a lot, and I've already talked a lot this episode, so I was kind of trying to hang back a little bit. But just to say, like, I mean, I said it at the top, and I don't mean it like I feel like Sister Evangelina was a member of my family, and like the way that I mean, I don't mean the reality of that statement, but like the way that Sister Evangelina, like when she passed away, like I just felt like it was like a great aunt. You know what I mean? Like a woman that I've had women in my life that I don't know super well. I'm not super close to, but I have formed a connection with them, and I like love them. I respect them. I've been in touch with them. They've been with me at pivotal moments in my life, and did and do really mean something to me. And that was, I mean, I know it's a TV show, but I'm telling you, that's really how I felt when she passed away. And like watching everyone remember her, and like, how they handled the funeral and everything like that. I don't know. I mean, just the whole thing like hit me in a certain type of way, watching it this time. And it is
that moving though. That's how good the writing is.
Yeah, I just felt incredibly impacted by it. And I like we have funerals and we have memorials and everything for people, for them to like, honor the life that they lived and what they gave and everything. But also like it's a way for all of us to deal with, like our grief and like how we're coping with, a loss like that. And I just thought it was handled so beautifully and so seamlessly. And the fact that they really kept her wishes at the forefront and like honored like everything that she gave her life for. Like, I mean, I don't want to overstate it because it's a TV show, but like I just have to tell you, I was just incredibly moved by it, and like it just really got me. And yeah,
I think well because when she died, like none of us were expecting it, and it's so
well realistic as well, because obviously that happens in real life.
Just that it's something that you're not prepared for.
But also, we do a podcast on it. That is how good this show is. Like I've never done a podcast on any other TV show.
No. And I again, I mean, I know I already said it, but it was almost like there wasn't even a script for this episode. It was like everyone just came and then they just turned the cameras on and they all just like lived for like a week. And then then they just edited it together and spit it out. I mean, that is how natural and seamless and beautiful and honest and heartfelt and that it felt to me as a viewer. I mean, what do I know? But that's how it felt to me watching it. And I just, oh my God, I don't know.
Should we do heroes and zeros?
Yes, but first I just want to talk really quick about licorice all sorts. Do you have them over there, Jen?
I not really.
Just for context, because Sister Evangelina was measuring the kids and she was saying, oh, go and get a licorice all sort from Sister Monica Joan. And Sister Monica Joan was like, no, it's from Sooty. I'm giving a lady licorice all sorts. And I thought, oh, I wonder if you have licorice all sorts. It was a weird comment, really, no. But it was, on point.
No, I don't know. I don't think we don't really have them. We have licorice and stuff like that. And we have like licorice candies, but no, not those specific candies.
Right.
No.
Okay, heroes and zeros then. Bex.
My hero is going to be Barbara.
Nice.
For going above and beyond with Tripty, but also for getting Sister Evangelina back in the saddle.
Nice.
My zero is going to be Distabel.
Oh, went big.
Yeah.
To be fair, it doesn't need explanation. Yeah.
It's a good zero. It's a zero if we've ever heard one.
Jen?
Okay, my hero is going to be Sister Evangelina because
it's the last time she's going to be Sister
I
Evangelina.
know, it's my last chance. And I've already done this many times this episode, but I'll just like go off for like one more time. I truly believe that all we have in this life is what we've done, and she did so much. And she's in the show, she's obviously a fictionalized version, but this was a real woman, and she was based off of a real person, the character that Pam Ferris played. And she's so beloved by me, and I just absolutely give my hat goes off to her in every way. I think she's a true hero. And again, just that scene where she was bathing that baby was so pure and so beautiful. And to both, I'm saying so much, but to give yourself to a true calling and to do it so well is just completely remarkable, and I love her. And my zero is going to be her passing, because I know no one can live forever, but truly I feel like we lost a hero, and I'm going to be sad about it, and I am sad about it, and I will miss her on future episodes and seasons of this show, because I just thought she was one of the most amazing characters, and she really inspired me in a lot of ways. In all honesty, she really, really did. And so, yeah.
Just nicked my zero because I wanted that to be my zero, but I'll find another one. But I totally agree. I'm going to miss Sister Evangelina so much. My hero this week is going to be Nurse Crane. I thought she was amazing. She was leapt into action. She was fantastic with the way sometimes she can be a bit brusque, but she wasn't. She was really loving, caring with the nuns after obviously Sister Evangelina died. She'd lost her adversary, but also her friend. And I just thought the way she dealt with it was just loving, but she also was in action, getting stuff sorted. She was fantastic. She was the real rock of the Nonnatus House, I thought, this week. My zero would have been Sister Evangelina dying, because it just should be. But I'm going to go with the man who shouted or who stopped Bernie from saying beautiful to his daughter.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Also, I didn't mention this when we talked about them kind of going through the filing system, and also when they first got the letter saying that Distabel was being withdrawn, and then they're like going through the Lancet and they find the letter from the editor. Like, we really take for granted how information is just so readily available these days.
Yeah, totally. Although some of it's misinformation now as well. That's another thing we've got to deal with now, I suppose. But
yeah, but just back in the day.
Yeah, totally. 100%.
I'm nodding my head. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, shall we go a bit more lighthearted? Let's have a few messages from listeners.
Here we go. Thank goodness. Let's end on a high note.
Yeah, we do need this. So Annabelle Pritchard on Twitter, she said, last week I shared a picture of the Turners, and she said, I love this couple. I imagine they would be the perfect neighbours. Do you know what? That is exact. That is such a brilliant description for them. They would be the perfect neighbours, wouldn't they?
What a unique and wonderful compliment to give them. I love that.
Yeah, but also how exact is it? So true that they really would be.
They probably would be.
She nailed it on the head.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Okay, we've got a Becky on Twitter as well, who says, for my 2 pennies, there is a difference between jam on toast and jam sandwich. It's down to the bread. 2 slices in one go for a sandwich and 1 each for toast. And then the consistency of the bread. Toast is much different and gives a different experience. I love it. And then she says the reason we P&J are not as popular, in my opinion, that peanut butter sandwiches are not as popular in the UK is because our jam usually has seeds or bits of fruit in it, unlike a lot of American jelly, which is smooth.
Okay.
Listen to it if you.
That makes me not want it even more. I'd rather have ours with a bit of seed in it.
Well, we're going to have it in the next listener special, even though you're kicking against it. Jane
No,
Weir.
I do have it in my fridge because I like it. And the only reason I've got jam in my fridge is from making a Victoria sponge cake.
Nice.
Do you like peanut butter, Bex?
I love peanut butter and I can't buy it because I will literally eat it by the spoonful.
I really like it too. I like it on apple.
That's a really good combination. Yeah.
Jane Weir on Instagram says, "Hey, Call the Midwife's unofficial podcast. I listen to you guys on Spotify. I love what you guys have to say. Please, please, please keep the episodes coming. You have so many seasons to go through." You are correct. We do.
Well, we aim to please. Yeah.
And she's like, "It's incredible. Please keep the episodes coming." Yes, my thank you. Now, another one, Rebecca Golden Stockton, the one who was excited about last week's episode, says, "Thank you. Loved it. Camped a lot as a child. Love peanut butter, but not so much with jam. And absolutely adore the photo you chose for the post. I think Sheila was baiting Patrick with the Cliff Richard comment. Like, prove to me that you're a young man and not an old fuddy-duddy. That's why Angela was unceremoniously dumped in the tent with Timothy." And she's also put, "Did you realise there were not one but two aborted romantic kisses in this episode? I'm all about Bernadette. I do love Barbara and Tom." So, and she said, also, do Barbara and Tom even have a shipper moniker? So what should we call them? Tombra, Bomb.
Bomb. Would you say Tombra?
Tombra. We'll have to think of one.
Yeah, we'll have to think of one. Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so keep the comments coming. We love them. Make sure you follow us, like us. We're now on Threads, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, everywhere, YouTube. Like and subscribe on Spotify. Give us a good message. But yeah, next week we'll be doing the Christmas special.
Ooh.
Oh, we know who loves a Christmas special.
I do love this Christmas special, but it's not your conventional Christmas special.
More on that next week.
What I was going to say, that's a teaser for you if ever there was one.
Yeah. Yes. So thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
See you next week.